In May 1940, Germany invaded the Netherlands, Belgium and northern France, with a new type of strategy never seen before called the Blitzkrieg. Blitzkrieg is a military tactic where you put a big concentrated force of tanks or troops on a specific area, with lots of infantry following behind it. It forms a big and fast spearhead and pokes a hole in the enemy front line. A German Blitzkrieg attack by airborne forces and infantry troops quickly demolished Dutch and Belgian forces, who after a few days surrendered. British, French and Belgian troops reinforced the position against the advancing German army into Belgium, but were unable to hold their positions. France was falling rapidly, and by the 14th and 15th of May, the main German force had moved into the River Meuse, advancing into the western direction towards the English Channel. The British Prime Minister, Winston Churchill, visited Paris on the 17th of May and was astonished to learn that the French generals had no plan or troops to save the French country.
So while the German troops were pushing the British and French troops towards the sea, the British already planned the evacuation of all the troops, called Operation Dynamo.
After a big counterattack at Arras by the British troops on the 21st of May, the Germans were shocked by the strength of the attack and it put anxiety into the German advance. But despite that, the troops of Heinz Guderian forced the Allies into a pocket towards the port of Dunkirk, the only port that was usable by the Allies for an evacuation of the troops.
Surprisingly, on the 22nd of May 1940, a halt order was issued by the German High Command with Adolf Hitler's approval, and whatever the reason was, it didn't work out for the Germans as well as they planned.
Whatever the reason was, this order provided the Allies an unexpected and crucial opportunity to evacuate their troops. Hermann Göring, head commander of the Luftwaffe, promised Hitler that he would take care of the stranded British troops at Dunkirk and pound them with airplanes into surrender or annihilation. Hitler gave Göring the green light to take care of the Allies at Dunkirk with his Luftwaffe. So, the Luftwaffe continued to attack the port of Dunkirk when the weather allowed it, while the Allies strengthened their defenses against the German tanks and infantry in and around Dunkirk.
So while the Germans were held back by some heroic defending at the front lines here, thousands upon thousands of British and French troops were scattered here all around the beach, waiting for a rescue attempt.
And then, finally, on the 29th of May, hundreds of boats filled up the horizon at Dunkirk, Royal Navy ships and civilian fishing and lifeboats who were pressed into surfers and known as little ships. Their effort would become known as the Dunkirk Spirit. RAF fighters also provided important air cover for the evacuation on the ground from the German Luftwaffe.
And by the 4th of June, 383,000 troops, including 120,000 French troops, were evacuated by the hastily formed fleet of around 860 boats.
The British Expeditionary Force lost around 68,000 soldiers during the campaign and had to leave all of their tanks, vehicles and equipment behind. Thousands of French troops were also left behind to be taken prisoner. The guys who held the Germans back for the rest to evacuate, also known as the Heroes of Dunkirk.
Well, the success of the operation, what could have gone horribly wrong, gave a huge moral boost to the British troops and to the British people at home. And the valuable trained soldiers of the British Expeditionary Force could be used further in the war again to fight the Germans. So that was a big plus side on the whole evacuation and the success of it.
British Prime Minister Winston Churchill called the outcome a miracle in his famous "We shall fight on the beaches" speech on the 4th of June to the House of Commons.
A miracle of deliverance achieved by valor, by perseverance, by perfect...
And there are still some debates about the question of why did Hitler stop the troops? Why didn't he just crush the whole British army and defeat them at once? But yeah, today we don't know why he did it, and well, luckily he did it. Otherwise, maybe the war would have been taking 2 years longer. So, well, I hope you guys enjoyed this episode about Dunkirk. It's an amazing place. It's a beautiful beach, and yeah, it has a lot of history, of course.
Before we end the video, I had some people reach out to me with the question on how can they support my channel. So I decided to make a Patreon, so if people feel like it, they can support my videos there. So I'll put a link in the description of my Patreon, so if you want to support my channel, you can do it there. Thank you guys so much for watching again, and now back to the outro.
I hope you guys enjoyed this episode, thank you for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode. Salute!